Hello, Shalom. Welcome to day 125 of the Daily Bread. We'll be reading Numbers, chapter 20, from 2 Kings, chapter 10, Psalms 122, Proverbs 5, and Acts 22. We'll begin the Scriptures 2009 version. Numbers chapter 20 on page 163. And the children of Israel, all the congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled against Moshe and against Aaron. And the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, If only we had died when our brothers died before Yahweh. Why have you brought us up the assembly of Yahweh? Why have you brought up the assembly of Yahweh into this wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? And why have you brought us up out of Mizraim to bring us to this evil place? Not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moshe and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of appointment, and they fell on their faces, and the esteem of Yahweh appeared to them. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aaron, and you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give its water. And you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their livestock. And Moshe took the rod from before Yahweh as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron assembled the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, Hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water out for you out of this rock? Then Moshe lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and much water came out of it, and the congregation and their livestock drank. But Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, Because you did not believe me to set me apart in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you do not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with Yahweh, and he was set apart among them. And Moshe sent messengers from Kadesh to the sovereigns of Edom. This is what your brother Israel said. Jacob, you know all the hardship that has befallen us, that our fathers went down to Mizraim, and we dwelt in Mizraim a long time. And the Mizraims did evil to us and our fathers. And we cried out to Yahweh, and he heard our voice and sent the messenger and brought us up out of Mizraim. And see, we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your border. Please let us pass over through your land. We shall not pass through fields or vineyards, nor drink water from wells. We shall go along the sovereign's highway, and we shall not turn aside left or right until we have passed over your border. But Edom said to him, You do not pass through me, lest I come out against you with the sword. And the children of Israel said to him, We shall go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I shall pay for it. Let me only pass over on foot without a word. But he said, You do not pass over. And Edom came out against him with many men and with a strong hand. So when Edom refused to let Israel pass over through his border, Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, all the company, departed from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and Aaron in Mount Hor, near the border of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron is to be gathered to his people, for he has not entered the land. He is not to enter the land which I have given the children of Israel, because you rebelled against my mouth at the water of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. For Aaron is to be gathered to his people and die there. Ooh. And Moshe did as Yahweh commanded, and they went up to Mount Hor, because before the eyes of all the congregation. And Moshe stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on the top of the mountain. And Moshe and Eleazar came down from the mountain, and when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, all the house of Israel wept for Aaron 30 days. 2 Kings chapter 10 on page 392. And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria, and Uah wrote letters and sent Samaria to the rulers of Israel, to the elders and to the guardians of Ahab, saying, And now, when these letters come to you, since your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots and horses and walled cities and weapons, choose the best and put upright of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. And they were greatly afraid, and said, Look, 2 sovereigns have not stood before him. How do we stand? And he who was over the house, and he who was over the city, the elders also, and the guardians, sent to Uhi, saying, We are your servants, and all that you say to us we do. We do not set up anyone to reign. Do what is good in your eyes. And he wrote a second letter to them, saying, If you are for me, and if you obey my voice, take the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me at Israel by this time tomorrow. Now the sovereign sons, 70 beings, were with the great men of the city, who brought them up. And it came to be, when the letter came to them, that they took the sovereign sons and slew them, 70 men, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to him at Israel. Man. Then a messenger came and informed him, saying, They had brought the heads of the sovereign sons. And he said, Make them 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning. And it came to be in the morning that he went out and stood, and said to all the people, You are righteous. Look, I conspired against your master and killed him. But who struck all these? Know now that not one word of Yahweh which Yahweh spoke concerning the house of Ahab does fall to the ground. For Yahweh has done what he spoke by his servant Elijah. And Yahweh and Udah struck all those left of the house of Ahab in Israel, and all his great men, and his friends, and his priests, until he left him without a survivor. And he rose up to go, and went to Samaria, on the way at Beth Ed of the shepherds. Udah met the brothers of Ahazu, sovereign of Judah, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are brothers of Ahazu, And we have come down to greet the sons of the sovereign, and the sovereign, and the sons of the sovereigness's mother. And he said, take them alive. So they took them alive and slew them at the well at Bethel, 42 men, and he left none to them. And he left there and met Jehanab, son of Rebekah, coming to meet him and bless him, and said to him, is your heart right as my heart is toward your heart? And Jehanab answered, it is. Jehoiada said, if it is, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot, and he said, come with me and see my adorer for Yahweh. And they made him ride in his chariot. And he came to Samaria and struck all those left of Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed them, according to the word of Yahweh which he spoke to Elijah. And Judah gathered all the people and said to them, Ahab serves Baal a little, Yahweh serves him much. And now call to me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let no one be missing, for I have a great slaughtering to make to Baal. Anyone who is lacking shall not live. But Judah did this deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. And Judah said, set apart an assembly for Baal. So they proclaimed it. And Judah sent throughout all Israel, and all the servants of Baal came, so that there was not a man left who did not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was filled from end to end. And he said to them, who was over the wardrobe? Bring out garments for all the servants of Baal. And he brought out garments for them. And Judah and Jehobad, son of Rebekah, went into the house of Baal, and said to the servants of Baal, search and see that no servants of Yahweh are here with you, but only the servants of Baal. So they went to make slaughterings and ascending offerings. Now Judah had appointed for himself 80 men on the outside, and said, the man who lets escape any of the men whom I have brought into your hands, his life is for his life. Don't let anyone come out. And it came to be, when he had finished making the ascending offering, Judah said to the guard and to the officers, go in, strike them, let no one come out. And they struck them with the edge of the sword, and the guards and the officers threw them out, and went into the inner room of the house of Baal, and brought out the pillars of the house of Baal, and burned them, and broke down the statue of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a latrine to this day. Thus Judah destroyed Baal out of Israel. However, Judah did not turn away from the sins of Uriah, son of Nahab, who had made Israel sin, from the golden calves that were at Bethel and Dan. And Yahweh said to Uriah, because you have done well by doing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Arab all that was in my heart, your sons are going to sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. Yet Judah did not guard to walk in the Torah as Yahweh Elohim of Israel with all his heart, for he did not turn away from the sins of Jehoram, who had made Israel sin. In those days Yahweh began to cut off some of Israel, and Hazael struck them throughout the border of Israel, from the Jordan to the sun rising, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites, and the Reubenites, and the Manasshites, and from Eroth, which is by the Wadi, Aran, including Gilead and Bashan, and the rest and the acts of Judah, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Israel? So Jedi slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his place. And the days of Judah reigned over Israel and Samaria were 28 years. Psalms 122 on page 720. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go into the house of Yahweh." Our feet had been standing within the gates of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city that is bound together, where the tribes have come up, the tribes of Yah, a witness to Israel, to give thanks to the name of Yahweh. For there the thrones of right ruling were set, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for peace of Jerusalem. Let those who love you be at rest. Be at peace within your walls. Rest in your citadels, for the sake of my brothers and companions. I say, peace be within you, for the sake of the house of Yahweh. Our Elohim, I seek your good. Proverbs 5 on page 733. My son, listen to the wisdom of my son, listen to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding. For as to watch over discretion, and your lips guard knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drip honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lay hold of Sheol. She does not consider the path of life. Her ways are unstable. You do not know it. So now, listen to me, you children. Do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not come near the door of her house, lest you give your splendor to others, and your years to one who is cruel. Lest strangers be filled with your strength, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. Then you shall howl at your latter end, when your flesh and your body shall be consumed, and shall say, how I hated discipline, and my heart has despised reproof. And I have not hated the voice of my teachers, and I have not inclined my ear to those who instructed me. In a little while I was in all evil, in the midst of the assembly and congregation. Drink water from your own cistern, and running water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, rivers of water in the streets, let them be only your own, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountains be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of your youth. A loving deer and a pleasant doe, let her nipples satisfy you at all times, and be captivated by her love always. For why should you, my son, be captivated by a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a foreigner? For the ways of man are before the eyes of Yahweh, and he considers all his paths. The wrong one is entrapped in his crookedness, and he is caught in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and in the greatness of his folly he goes astray. Acts chapter 22. Men, brothers, and fathers, hear my defense before you now. And when they heard that he spoke up to them, this is Shaw speaking, to them in the Hebrew language, they kept greater silence. And he said, I am indeed a Yudai Jew, having been born in Tarso of Gilead, but brought up in the city at the feet of Gilead, having been instructed according to the exactness of the Torah of our fathers, being ardent for Elohim, as you are all today, who persecuted this way, referring to Yeshua's ministry, who persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering up to the prisons both men and women. And also the high priest bears me witness, and all the eldership, from whom I also received letters to the brothers, and went to Damascus to bring in chains even those who were there to Jerusalem to be punished. And it came to be, as I was journeying and coming near Damascus about noon, suddenly a great light shone around me out of heaven, and I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And I answered, Who are you, Master? And he said to me, I am Yahweh of Nazareth, whom you persecute. And those who were with me indeed saw the light and were afraid, but they did not hear his voice speaking to me. And I said, What shall I do, Master? And the Master said to me, Rise up, go into Damascus, and there you shall be told all that you have been appointed to do. And as I could not see because of the esteem of that light, being led by the hand of those who were with me, I came into Damascus. And a certain Hananiah, a dedicated man according to the Torah, being well and spoken of by the Judean dwelling there, came to me and stood by and said to me, Brother Shaul, look up. And at that hour I looked up at him, and he said, The Elohim of our fathers has appointed you to know his desire, and to see the righteous one, and hear the voice from his mouth, because you shall be his witness to all men of what you have seen and heard. And now, why do you delay? Rise up, be immersed, and wash away your sins, calling on the name of Yahweh. And it came to be, when I returned to Jerusalem, and while I was praying in the set-apart place, I came to be in a trance. And I saw him saying to me, Hurry, get out of Jerusalem speedily, because they do not accept your witness concerning me. And I said, Master, they know that in every congregation I was imprisoning and beating those who believe in you. And when the blood of your witnesses Stephanos was shed, I was also standing by, giving my approval to his death, and keeping the garments of those who were killing him. And he said to me, Go, because I send you far from here to the nations. And they were listening to me, and they were listening to him until this word. And when they lifted up their voice, saying, Away with such one from the earth, for it is not fit that he should live. It's the crowd. And as they were shouting and tearing their garments and throwing dust in the air, the commander ordered him to be brought into the barracks, and said that he should be examined by flogging, in order to find out why they were shouting against him. And as they were stretching him out with straps, Saul said to the captain who was standing by, Is it permitted for you to whip a man who is a Roman and uncondemned? And when the captain heard, he went and reported to the commander, saying, Watch what you're about to do, for this man is a Roman. Paul uses this several times. And having come, the commander said to him, Say to me, are you a Roman? And he said, Yes. As the commander answered, With a large sum I obtained this citizenship. And Shaul said, But I was even born so. Then at once those who were about to examine him withdrew from him, and the commander also afraid after he found out that he was a Roman, and because he was had bound him. And on the next day, intending to know for certain why he was accused by the Yudim, he released him and commanded the chief priests and all the council to come and brought Shaul down and set him before them. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible and talk to the Father.